Hi, and welcome. I'm Nikia.
I'm Latoya.
I'm Janet.
Toya.
And today our guest is Miss Ashley DeLuca. But first, we're going to discuss what we're working on. So, what are you guys working on today? Is everybody muted? Am I doing something wrong?
Okay, I'm on mute.
Well, I think what it was. You just jumped right in there. We wasn't ready.
Fast and Furious, ain't it?
What are you working on?
I'll go first. So I am working.
Oh, it's on me.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I actually been working on my website. I have some new updates on my website, and what else I've been working on? Oh, I've been working on some promotional stuff for an HVAC client that I have. Hey.
Nice. Janet?
I am playing up. I have the weather, so I am playing.
Got it. Nikia?
I have been working on creating purchase orders for service vendors.
Nice.
Toya, what have you been working on?
I am rebranding, so I've been working on my website. Yes.
Oh, that's neat. I can't wait to see it. Ashley, what are you working on today?
Oh my gosh. I feel like the answer is all the things, but I would say the number one thing that I'm definitely working on right now is just focusing on giving myself some grace and love and really focusing on 2021 and making it like the best year yet.
Cool.
Fantastic. Love it.
Okay. So our guest today, Ashley, is a mama, wife, and dog mama who lives in a small town called Londonderry, Ohio. She is on a mission to simplify email marketing so entrepreneurs can amplify relationships and sales. Now, why should you listen to and learn from Ashley? Well, over the past 3 years, Ashley has written campaigns that have resulted in 40K launches with lists ranging from 200 to 8,000 subscribers. So needless to say, she believes email marketing should be simplified, so easily her toddler can do it. Most days start with coffee and end with a book in bed snuggled with her toddler, Nick. Welcome, Ashley.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. Nikia, before we get started, can we say hello to some of our wonderful viewers, our sisters, brothers that are here? Hey, Jasmine. Thank you, sis, for connecting and joining us. Mama Susan.
Yes. Gotta say hi to Mama Dora. She is here every week.
Yes. So glad to see you guys. Yes. And if you have any questions, please pipe in because we have got the expert here. Hey, T.
So good to see you. Gonna be here last.
Yes. So good to see you guys. All right.
Okay. So my first question is about your email starter program.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is an email starter program? Is it just collecting emails or what should I be doing with them?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so within the email starter program, which really kind of also goes into what I believe that you guys should be doing when it comes to email marketing, it's really about having the right kind of foundation set first within your email marketing. And so a lot of times we get really quick to just going through and being like, all right, we're going to focus on getting all these people to the party. We're going to collect all these subscribers and all the things. But then what ends up happening is we give them the freebie or we have them come into our group or whatever that may be. And then we just kind of drop off. Like nothing happens after that. And I'm just like, oh, wait, no, we need to have a foundation set. So it's really about going through and focusing on setting up your first sequence, which is your welcome sequence, and going through and actually making sure that you have a welcome sequence that not only welcomes people into your party so that way they know who is the host, who is it that we're working with, but then also to being able to paint that picture of what it looks like to work with you, and shifting those beliefs that come along with it. So we really focus on the welcome sequence and then also having the foundational tech behind that as well too, and just ensuring and making sure that like everything is set up properly. So that way when a subscriber does come through, everything's good to go. There's no automation glitches, which I know is like one of our biggest fears ever, is like having automation or email go out when we don't want it to, and just having everything in check in place.
Okay.
Ashley, I have a question for you. And that is one part of the foundation process. But for a person like me, because these three exquisite ladies they're beyond me. I'm the newbie to the group. What for a person like me would you suggest in regards to the changing my mindset? So for me, I hate when I join, not hate, I dislike when I join things and they ask me for the email. Because I know that means that I'm about to. So for me, since I'm in this business and now I'm realizing the asset, how do I change my mind focus in preparation for my foundation with my email marketing?
Totally. So the biggest thing, because I'm the same exact way. When I first started email marketing, I was like, what in the world is this? Why is everybody wanting to send target ads, right? Like nobody wants this extra stuff in their inbox. And I decided what I wanted it to look like in terms of with email marketing specifically. So I was like, I want my relationship with my email subscriber to be an actual relationship where they know what my favorite color is, where they know they're like, holy guac is like what she likes to say, that she has a toddler. Like I decided what I wanted that relationship to look like. And so not feeling pressured and not feeling like it needs to look like what anybody else is doing is so incredibly important. And it's also really helpful too, because you get to decide. Like you get to decide how you show up in their inbox, whether it's once a month, once a week, whatever it is that you decide. I really want to empower you to know that you get to choose what that looks like, and it doesn't have to look like everybody else.
Okay.
Okay, earlier in the day, we had someone who asked that very question of how often should they start with their welcome sequence? How many emails should it be? Should it be daily? Should it be once a week? What is the sweet spot?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially in terms of with sending pattern, I like to be able to go through and match that sending pattern. So for an example, if you have plans on sending out emails once a week, I would go through and also have your welcome sequence match that as well too. Now, a lot of times now, if you're like super sporadic, maybe you're just like, okay, I can't commit to sending out weekly emails right now, which is totally cool. I totally understand. And you're going to send out once a month. I would still do those welcome emails at least once a week, because you're creating a weekly consistent touch point with your subscribers on the back end, without obviously having to push out your broadcasts. On the broadcast side, again, it's really about what you commit to. The biggest thing is, and with my philosophy of email marketing simplified, it's not necessarily about pressuring y'all to be like, no, you have to send out something weekly. If you only have something to say monthly and like that's what you can do, that's totally fine. They can expect something from you monthly, and that's totally okay. The minimum that I would do is 3 days. I don't like to do daily personally, just because for me, I like to be able to have a little bit of breathing room within my inbox, because I know for me, for me, like daily emails would be super overwhelming for me. And so I know for me, and probably for a lot of my, clients, people who I want to work with, 3 days is a good amount of time to be able to pop in and then recheck in on them.
I like that. I think we should give a pause so we wouldn't talk over each other. But I like it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Ashley. This sounds amazing, but it is overwhelming to me to think about building those sequences, building those welcome emails, building those sales funnels. It's very overwhelming thinking about that.
Yeah,
and definitely. That's why Ashley exists.
let me tell you what I think. Honestly, if I could simplify this entire thing, because when I first got into email marketing, email was so complicated in terms of with like, you need all the emails, you need all these sequences, all the things, and I was like so overwhelmed with trying to figure out where should I put my effort first. So if I had to give you the game plan of like, all right, here's where you start, here's where you go next, definitely the welcome sequence, but from there, I would definitely recommend doing the weekly broadcast to start building into your niche sequence. And the best way you can do that is to do what I like to call, Gary Vee calls it the jab, 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 right hook. So otherwise it could be like 3 value, 1 pitch. And it makes it really simple to be able to then come through and be like, all right, I'm going to show up 3 times. I'm going to give you all the love. I'm going to connect you in other places within my world, whether you're, linking to a blog or podcast or something like that, and then do a sales email. So that way, then obviously we're pulling around those who are like nurtured, ready to go. And then you can invite them into a call. But that's where I would start. I mean, you don't have to get all crazy. There's re-engagement sequences that I write for people. There's abandoned cart emails. Like, there's literally like an entire world of email marketing. But if I had to tell you to start one place, that's where I would start.
That's nice. I like that.
So Ashley, certain ways do different service different sectors, different email campaigns. So say somebody who maybe MailerLite might be perfect for them as opposed to someone who is into production with Converted. Yeah. Do you find that different email platforms tend to work with better series of industries than others?
It's really more so not necessarily an industry difference, but rather a deliverability difference and user platform. So a lot of times for me, I recommend MailerLite over MailChimp all day, every day. The deliverability on MailerLite is so much better on MailerLite than it is MailChimp. But it's a very similar kind of process. Like, they're both free to, I think 1,000 or 500 subscribers. And then also within that, like, the interference is a little bit different as well too. So when I get platform recommendations, I'm usually looking at, what is the actual goal in terms with your email marketing, what you're wanting to achieve, and then is the platform able to help you pursue that goal? So a lot of times if you're trying to do a bunch of integrations and automations, like if you're trying to get real crazy, I usually would recommend something more like ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign, because those are going to be able to really expand and scale with a business, as opposed to like with MailerLite or MailChimp or something like on that level. Usually it's just great for dipping your toes in, and it has its place. I started out on both platforms myself. So I totally understand that there's a time and a place for those. But yeah, it's not really about industry. It's more about deliverability and making sure that your emails stay out of the spam folder.
Okay. I want to share a few comments from our viewers real quick. Thank you, Mama Dorch. We appreciate you. Awesome. And Tashonda says, I feel that I don't have that much to say to send out. Talk to us about that, Ashley.
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. I totally understand when, especially if you're creating content on other platforms, it can feel very overwhelming to try to go through and like create content for an entirely other platform within your business. So I would definitely look at ways that you can repurpose your content. So regardless, if you're already making social posts, see how you can take that and make it as a base in order for you to be able to create your email. You can also look at your videos. Like if you're doing videos just like this would be a great, email to then send out and be like, hey, if you totally missed this, don't worry, we got a replay for you. Here's a replay. Here's some of our favorite points of the video. Same thing with the podcast, right? So in different ways that you're already utilizing your content or your that you're creating, use that in your email marketing. Or especially, just have conversations. Like, I love to just pay attention to conversations that people have in Facebook groups and take those questions that people ask. And even if I, may write like a short little answer on their post, use that as a way to then be able to fuel into having something to say. A lot of times you just need to be prompted. I know for me, that's what it's really about. Is sometimes I'll be like, what should I talk about? And I'm like, okay, let me go find a question, and then I'm going to answer it in an email. And that's a great way to be able to get the brain turning.
Okay. I wanted to ask the question of what is click rate? What does that mean?
Yeah, so basically your click rate is specifically designed or focused on the number of people or the percentage of people who have actually clicked on the link inside of your email. This is why it's so incredibly important to focus on one call to action in every single email, because you're measuring the percentage of your call to action and how effective it was in that email.
So, okay, a question came to my mind, but it's not ready yet. Hold that thought. Too many things was coming to my mind all at the same time. So It first of all, one thing you should do, you find that it's better to ask for an email address than more, because if you go to a website and you enter your information, yes, in the back of your mind it does sort of assume that you might be added to some type of email marketing, but do you find that it's better to ask or just let whatever platform you use to gather their information just receive it from there? That is in regards to the spam, ending up in the spam.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is that you want to make sure the first piece of it is consent, right? Like you have to have their consent in order to be able to send them emails. And so generally speaking, you want to have the platform capture them as much as possible by using like a landing page form. That's usually the best way, just to make sure that you have that documented time of consent. So that way there was ever any questions about how did you get this email? Where did it come from? How did, like, you know, anything like that, you have their consent. And then also too, you know, there's a general expectation that if you give your email out, you're going to receive some kind of email in return. Maybe it's not a full-fledged series, but at least one email to then receive that free item. So I would definitely make sure in that first welcome email that you put some sort of expectations in there stating, hey, I'm going to be emailing you once a week, or hey, I'm going to be emailing you every 3 days about XYZ. If you make your expectations known, then people can then make that decision of like, okay, I want to stay here or I don't want to stay here. And it makes it so much easier for you to be able to then, navigate through that.
That's good.
And so you stated about that click rate, make sure to have, what was that verbiage you used about?
Yeah, so it's one call to action. So essentially definitely one call to action. So what ends up happening is within your email, you want to make sure that you lead them to another step, right? So if you're talking all about, I'm just going to make this up. If you're talking about dog bandanas, right? And let's like talk about the benefits of putting a dog bandana on your dog. Like at that point, you want to lead them to something else, right? Like, so whether it's a full blog post about all the benefits of a dog bandana, or if you're going through and like selling them, okay, cool. Like making sure you link to that next step and having one primary goal makes it so that way you don't confuse your subscriber, and making sure that they go from one point, which is your email, to the next point of where you want them to go.
Okay. And is that call of action can either lead to a follow on social media, or as opposed to whether they get your services?
Yes, 100%. So I like to look at it as if you're going through the process of building your ecosystem. And so what ends up happening is you want to make sure you go through and send them to other locations within your, ecosystem. So your website, sending them over to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of those really good things. Just send them to one particular area and don't send them to like all at one time, but have those and be very specific. So like within that, like if you have, again, we'll go with the dog bandana thing. Like, let's say you want to send them to your Facebook group. You'd be like, hey, you can join my free Facebook group, and it'll give you more tips on how to, make your dog bandanas or whatever it may be, right? Like, be specific about why you're sending them there and how it relates to the email.
Okay.
I have a question. So, what does it mean when you've been blacklisted, as far as email?
Yeah, so when it comes to being blacklisted, there's actually, this is going to get super technical, so I hope I don't lose nobody on this. I'm going to try to put it like as simple as possible. So you know how like we all have credit scores, right? And so what ends up happening is you actually have an email score, which is what I like to call it. And essentially what it does is it will track your like your spam score in terms of with like where you're at, it's your sender score. That's what it's like technically called. And it's 0 to 100. So you don't have to go to like 0 to like 7 or 800 or whatever it is for a credit score. So essentially you have that side of the puzzle, which is yours. So you own your sender score as it relates to your domain. So my domain is ashleyk.deluca.com. That domain has a sender score associated with it. Now, on the flip side, your email marketing provider, they have their own score as well too. And their score is specifically with the IP address that they use to send out the emails. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually use a tool called Glock apps to be able to see what is my sender score, what is the IP address that's being sent out on, what is that score, and that's where you often find that sometimes, you know, either you or the IP address that you're using can be blacklisted. So there's a process that you can go through to be able, especially if you use a tool called Glock Apps, to be able, it'll give you the exact website where it's listed, the domain, like all of the things, and then you can reach out to them to be able to be like, hey, like, you know, I want to go through and basically, again, like if you have something on your credit score, like you can go through and like call the credit card or the credit score companies. Same thing. You would do the same thing for the email side as well too. Usually, a lot of times, unless you own a dedicated IP address, you're probably going to be on some kind of blacklist in terms of on the sender side. So like I use ConvertKit, and one of the IP addresses I'm at like is blacklisted, and so they go through the process of handling that for their particular item. Now, if you ever get on one, then you can obviously come through and then have your, you know, go through the process of getting yourself off of there. I don't know if it actually like totally answers your question, but there's like a whole process. But if I had to send you to one spot to really check it out, it would definitely be Glock Apps, because it'll give you information, like very specific information towards your situation.
Okay. Why does plain text emails perform better? Why do plain text emails perform better?
Yeah, so plain text emails work really well because they don't have the salesiness attached to them. I like to look at it as if I'm going to send an email to any one of you guys, right? I'm not going to go through and make like a fancy header and text and all of this craziness, right? And all these pictures. I'm probably just going to be like, hey guys, like here's the link to blah, 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 blah. Here's what's going on. And it would send directly to you guys. It takes out that additional effort. It takes out that additional work that kind of comes along through the process of, you know, going through and being like, oh, okay, here's like all this extra stuff. Like just keep it focused and simple. It also helps with deliverability as well too. In terms of actually they'll deliver at a much higher rate as well too.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question. Ashley, is there a time where you would recommend having more graphical emails?
Yeah, so one of my clients, she is in a MLM, and so for her, we do use a lot more graphics than my other clients. So my other clients who are usually more so coaches and strategists, we don't use as many like graphics or anything like that because we're not selling a product. So usually it's the product-based businesses that you're going to use a lot more graphics or pictures and things like that. As opposed to with a coach or a strategist or even a service provider, you're going to use more so the power of your words as opposed to like your fancy graphics to sell your service.
I totally agree, guys. We have an awesome client that is that has a fashion store, you know, so they're clothes. So absolutely. So we have to have, you know, nice email newsletter with all like really nice graphics to really entice people to want to buy. So I totally agree with you.
Yep.
Yes.
100%.
Excellent. How do you feel about emojis in your email marketing?
Ooh, yes. I am pro emoji, and here's why.
Ashley, thank you, Ashley. Get on to me about my emails. At least one every once in a while when it makes. Okay, before she gets to her expert, let me tell you, when I scroll to my email and I see an emoji, that makes me stop. It does. Thank you. Okay, Ashley.
Ashley, I just wanted to say that because I know it was trigger her. So.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So the thing with emojis is, I will say, too many, we probably need to put a cap on it. But there are some things that emojis just dress up an email, especially like I don't like doing bullet points. So I'll do the little arrows or I'll do like little avocados if I'm making like a bulleted list, just to make it a little bit more me. But they're a great way to be able to infuse personality within your emails without adding a bunch of pictures and text and all the things. So
preach,
I am 100%
Ashley, preach.
Avocado, anything like that, like I'm all for it. Like you'll always see avocado emojis in my stuff. So yeah, that's totally me.
And it's okay to put one in the subject line?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. I'm so glad I could validate you today. Yes.
Oh, yes, Lord. Oh, shoot.
So each email that you send out is some type of campaign should be on that email,
Yes.
correct? Okay. As I stated, I'm the beginner, so I'm having the beginning questions and how to direct and the worded. So that's where my mind is.
So that's a good point. Jenny saying that she's kind of newer to it. I can understand how this stuff is just like all these different tags and campaigns. Like, what is all this? So for someone who's just starting out with email marketing and they're going with the MailerLite, would you recommend just start with a welcome email and then start talking, being consistent, talking to your folks? What would you recommend today if I'm getting started today, starting my MailerLite account today?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely get that welcome email in there. So that way you can start collecting those email addresses through an opt-in through the MailerLite system. And then from there, just put in a calendar reminder or to-do task every single week within your email marketing or within your project management tool to make sure you send out an email based off of the frequency that you're looking to do. The biggest thing, guys, is consistency. So often in business, we're so easily distracted, right? Like we're just like, holy God, I want to do this or I want to do that. Just focus on one thing at a time. Like that has been so helpful for me in my business, and just taking time to just be like, all right, I'm going to commit to this particular thing, whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever that is, commit to it, go for it, and then watch it explode.
I got a question. So how important is it, or what are the important elements that need to be in that lead magnet to get the emails from people?
Good question.
Ooh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So within a lead magnet, so often one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't make it for their ideal client in a way that they can consume it. So I know for me, so I'm a busy mom. And so if you give me a 25-page PDF, the likelihood of me reading that whole thing is probably like a big fat 0. And so often people think that the more information they pour into something, especially opt-ins, they're like, oh, more people don't want it, and they're gonna be perfect. Like the whole process of getting people to opt in is to get them on the right path of becoming your ideal client, right? Like we want them to bring that awareness, and if they don't consume the information, they're never gonna make it there. So I would recommend making sure it's in a format that people will actually intake and read and do the things with. But then also too, the biggest thing is that make sure it's something super tangible. Oftentimes, again, we think the more information or, we have to give them the whole pie. So often people just want a quick win. So instead of me saying here is the entire guide for you on how to set up your email marketing, my opt-in that I have within my Facebook group is, this is how you can tag and segment your list, right? And so that does two things. That takes me from somebody who is probably just starting out and wanting the beginner stuff, because usually I target people who are at a little bit of a higher level for my ideal client, right? So that helps me out because I'm okay, I'm in the middle of that process flow. So it's really about knowing where your ideal client is at on their journey, what makes the most amount of sense for them in terms of what they need right now, and creating something that's going to give them a quick win. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, Ashley taught me how to do that. That's super duper exciting. And it makes things it makes it way easier to explode that way if you just focus on that one piece of the puzzle.
I love that, Ashley. And actually, in our group, we have a group for virtual assistants. And one of the young ladies just created her lead magnet, and it was a checklist for the end of the year. She works with, small businesses. And I just thought it was genius. It's a PDF. It's one page. I was quickly, and at first I wasn't sure if I was going to opt in because I can't opt into everything, right? But I said, I was just I'm a small business owner, and it's this is the checklist for the end of the year. Okay, Toya, I got out there. Let me see what and it was just easy to digest, and it was simple, and it was what I needed as a small business owner. So I totally appreciate you, sharing that. You got to make sure it's for your particular audience and make sure it's digestible. Ain't nobody got time to read a 30-page report. Ain't nobody got time. So that's awesome.
I know. Yeah, definitely. Those bite-sized ones are where people get the most amount of wins, and you want a referral army. That's the goal, is to create, within your email marketing, a referral army of people who are oh my gosh, I know Ashley, I know her, I know, that's what you want, right? You want people to be oh my gosh, yeah, she taught me all these things about email marketing. And that's the goal.
Yeah, that's what you have here. Like we're all like, Ashley, you guys come on because Ashley's gonna be on with email marketing. That's right. We want to referral R&B. Awesome.
Actually, of all the things in the VA world, what made you decide email marketing would be your
Oh,
niche, your specialty?
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this question. Okay, so I actually started off as a web designer. And for me, web design was like something super techy and creative. And then it went like, we went from like minimalistic web design to like a really girly, crazy, all the things web design. And I was like, okay, that's not for me. So I was doing websites for people. And I kept seeing email marketing come up all the time because people wanted me to add in their opt-in forms. And I was like, kind of looking, and I was kind of peeping. I was like, this would be really fun because I actually, it's very interesting. I actually went through the process of wanting to become a writer and a reporter when I was younger. So I always loved writing, but never really kind of thought, oh, that was going to be my thing. Because I honestly thought email marketing was super sleazy and spammy, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be part of that at all. And so when I dove in, realized it was super complicated, and I was like, no, this could be simplified. I was like, all right, I'm taking this on. Like, this is going to be my thing. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of mindset work in particular because I really felt when I first started out, I was like, no one's going to pay me for this. Like, who's going to pay me to like write emails? Like, I was so in my head about it. And it wasn't until I had talked to my coach about it. And she was like, listen, like, if you could paint your perfect, like, what is it you actually want to do? Like, paint your picture perfect day. Like, what would that be? And I was like, I would love to just talk about email marketing. Like, that's what I want to do. And she's like, all right. So we just slowly took out web design clients and all my VA and tech and all the things. And I just decided to just be all about email marketing. And it makes it so much easier too if like people just know you for one thing instead of the girl who does all the things.
Nice.
And also makes more money. I mean, I know you have to be making more money focusing on this. Yeah, because when I went to your website, I saw email. It was almost like I always like, she's the email marketing person. That's the go-to girl for email marketing, you know? So that's something to remember, guys. When you specialize in something, you command more money because you are the expert because you're focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
awesome.
if there was one piece of business advice I would give to any virtual assistant, I would say specialize in something. Even if you're not 100% sure, just know you can pivot. You can change your business at any time. Like, that's the beauty of things. Is you can just be like, nope, I don't want to do email anymore. Like, I could go run Facebook ads tomorrow. Like, I could do whatever, right? Like, that's
right.
Owning your own business. Yeah. So really, guys, like, you have to go through, like, pick something and own it. Make your own mark within that industry. I never thought I would be at this point of where people would be like, oh yeah, like, she's the email marketing girl. Like, I thought I would just get lost in the sea. So that's why you use personality to be able to build those relationships and to get people to know about you and to be able to link social triggers like avocados and sea turtles. And that's how you make the huge difference within your space.
So Tashonda,
I'm going to ask you, how much of your personality can you really bring through on email marketing? Because even sometimes as we talk about the texting and emailing world, sometimes things can be a little mundane. So how would you suggest someone with a vivacious personality to put that through on an email marketing?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. So you can obviously do it in terms of with your copy, right? So a lot of like my copy is very energetic, it's very cheerful. It has little phrases like cool beans or holy guac and things like that. And that infuses my personality. The emojis, those help infuse personality without being totally in your face and all the things. And I also make my own GIFs as well. So I have GIFs in like different emails that I have and things like that that are of me. And so a lot of times it kind of brings together of like, oh, that's what that girl looks like, or oh my gosh, like that's her kind of like doing something. So like if you guys were to send me an email, you would get a reply back and it would be me and my toddler giving me like a big sloppy kiss. And it's just like one of those things where I'm like, oh, gotta go, like I'm chasing down toddler kisses. And so like those little things that like a lot of times like we don't think make a huge deal, like adding in like holy walk into an email or adding in the emoji or creating your own GIFs, like they make such a huge difference. Like, I get so many replies like when people email, they're like, oh, that's so cute. So I'm making a new one for 2021. I haven't figured out what it's going to be. But I'm like, all right, this is going to be like my yearly thing where I'm going to like switch it out for something else.
I love it because that makes you memorable, you know.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, like I always say I have 6 kids, and people remember that about me. She got 6 kids. That's the lady with the tribe, you know. So that little thing, so that makes you memorable. And to make the GIFs are really easy in Canva, guys. For all you people working at home, really easy to make your own GIFs for sure. I wanted to address what Tashonda said. I got to find my specialty. I love that you said that, and I love that Ashley told us that try something. Anytime that you want to stop that and try something else, do it. Right?
Yeah.
And actually that really spoke to me because this year for me was a year of live streaming, like helping businesses do live streams. And I never thought I'd do that before, but COVID, you know, brought that in my lap. And I fight, maybe I should just kind of specialize with it because there's a whole lot to do with just that. Maybe I should just have that on my website at this particular time. And what you reminded me is that I can change that. If I decide to change it after 6 months, that's okay. You know?
Yeah.
So thank
100%.
you for that. Yes.
Yeah.
So Tashonda, we're looking forward to see what you try, what specialty you try, and see if it works for you. Yes.
And to keep in mind, you don't have to do no whole rebranding and all that to change.
No.
Just change.
Yes.
Just change it and say, hey, now offering, and put your new service.
That's right. And take those other ones out. Take the other ones out.
I've done it several times. Yeah. There you go. I'm doing this now. When I
that's be a struggle though. That's why I'm so glad I talked to you all, because that used to be a struggle. Like, I can't take that out. I can't take mobile notary out, even though I'm not really. I mean, I can't take it out, but I did. You know, you know, you start somewhere, but you don't finish the same place. You know, remember that.
Oh my gosh, I shared a post on my wall today. Actually,
even as you do those types of things, you can use that email marketing to introduce that new aspect of your service, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
100%. Definitely.
That's right.
For sure.
Now, what were you saying, Ashley?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that I actually shared a post on my wall today of where I was at 4 years ago. And it was with my old brand, it was with my old logo, like all the things. And I was like, that was when I was doing web design. And like so many people were like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like that's where you started. Like now we're like where you're at now. Like it's a totally different ballgame. Like in terms of how I show up, what I talk about, even like how I talk, right? Like there's so many things that have changed within the past 4 years. And it's really just about growing and just going through and like welcoming different pivots, changes within your business and life.
Yeah.
I love that. I did the same thing. I'm doing a rebranding. I just want to make stuff look more simple as far as my logo and all that. I did the same thing. I showed where I used to, you know, where I started out and where I am now. And that's cool. People enjoy to see that kind of stuff too. So it's pretty cool.
I've already through about 4 logos. So that's
do we have any more questions?
No, we can definitely wrap it up. Ashley, do you have any last words?
Oh my gosh. I would say honestly, at the end of the day, like just keep it simple. Like you don't need all the extra frills, all the extra fluff. And that's just for business and life in general. Like, you know, when I've gone through the process of just really making my business super simplified, which I'm still going through, like it's an ever turning process of simplifying business. It really makes things a lot easier when you ditch the complicated. You just go all in on what you want to do and just show up consistently every day doing that.
Nice.
Yes. We have, Toy had mentioned this earlier that we have a group of VAs. So with those last words, I definitely want to go ahead and prompt to plug in. We have a conference.
Before you do that though, Toya, just if you can see the link there to Ashley's group for if you are a coach or tell us, Ashley, about the group.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, so if you're a coach or strategist, VAs involved too, you guys will find so much value in terms since it's basically service-based provided businesses. I walk you through so many different things within a bunch of mini series that are set up in the unit series. So regardless of where you're starting off at within email marketing, you will find something in there, whether it's about subject lines or segments or emails, tagging. I have so many live videos that I've done in the past and continue to do all about email marketing.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Toya.
Yes, you can put up the promo.
All
I already
right.
said the stuff.
Okay. The VA World Conference is a live in-person conference that's for anyone interested in learning more about the virtual service industry. It's being hosted June 4th through 6th, 2021 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and tickets are now on sale. More information can be found at vaworldconference.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
That's
Thank
so
you, guys.
cool.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
it is.
excited.
I'm excited.
Yes. Super excited.
Super
Super excited
excited.
about that.
Yes.
Well, we would like to make sure that you comment, like, share, and subscribe, and meet us right back here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Soulful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank
And
you
thank
very
you.
much, Ashley.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Ashley. And it has been great.
Thank
We
you,
totally
Ashley.
agree, Alice. Totally agree. Yes, so much great information. Yes, Melly. And thanks for connecting and coming. And did you have any questions? If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments for Ashley to see later. She has a wealth of information. Thank you, T. Yes, you will, because we had to. So we all have to. That's right.
We all have to.
Oh my gosh, don't get mad at me. I have one more question I just thought about.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get mad. Okay, so
Yeah.
we consistently see that text marketing is hot. It's a quick way to connect. What's your recommendations over email? If you had to do email or texting, what would it be?
Oh gosh. It depends on your target audience. Honestly,
Okay.
at the end of the day, are they spending, more time within their email or on text? I know a lot of the 6 and 7 figure business owners, they are more in their email than they are within their text message because they're putting their phones on do not disturb and letting things go to their notifications for when they're ready for them. So it's really about your ideal client. Are they more
That's right.
willing? And then honestly, you could ask for both, right? Like you could run a split campaign to both and see, okay, do I get more text signups, more emails? And even if you do both, honestly, at the end of the day, just repurpose it on over. Just
That's
put it on
right.
over and just keep it simple.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sis. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. This is so much fun.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, is that all?
Yes, that was it.
Okay. Bye.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.